We can't get off this subject. I gotta ask you a question. Are you in love with your wife? No, me either.
Okay, so I saw this video and I decided this is a good conversation to have. But first, let's define the terms. In love. I do not think love is what we thought it was in high school, where you get kind of punched in the stomach and you feel like everything's happening all at once. I think that's how it starts for most of us, but it evolves as you understand who you are. It evolves as you understand the person that you've chosen. But I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about marriage. I'm talking about big kid stuff. If you've decided that this is the woman that you're going to protect, if you decided that this is your life partner, well, now we're talking about a decision, and a daily decision. We're talking about intention. So I believe love is an active process. I do not believe that it's a passive process. I don't believe that we are going to be driven by this invisible force that moves us. I think that initially, once you get hit in the stomach, you decide, okay, this person checks out. This person checks the majority of the things that I'm looking for. And I think there is some logic to it. I think we all have some logical decision making prior to getting married. But after that, you should not, as a husband, make the decision to not cultivate the relationship. And so that's one of the reasons why they make so many, comparisons to fires. Have you ever tried to start a fire? And I'm not talking about with lighters, and I'm not talking about with gasoline. I'm talking about, have you ever tried to create enough friction that the heat rises enough to where you develop embers, and then you take the tinder and you put it on top, and then you stoke the flame, and then you add more fuel to the fire, and then you don't sit back, but you tend to the fire? That's why we talk about love in that way. If you do not put the active daily work towards the relationship, that fire will slowly die out. You will see those flames die down, but you know what that means, gentlemen? It's time to go out into the woods, and it's time to start chopping down more firewood. If you've ever tended to a fire, you know that there's no one else who's going to chop down that wood for you. There's no one who's coming to rescue you. It's only you. So you go out there and you put the blood, sweat, and tears into chopping down that wood, and guess what? You got to drag it back. And then you gotta tend to the fire again. I'm not sure how this will be received, but I don't think it's always the woman's job to go out and chop the wood. I don't think it's always her job to be aware of the state of the fire. I don't believe that. I know that times have changed and that the burden is shared, but personally, the way I think about it is that it's kind of my job to keep an eye on all that stuff. So I know the relationship will go in, ebbs and flows. I know that the fire will go up and down, and I know that I'll feel the intensity of the heat, and it'll vary as we tolerate each other, or, compromise, or, make mistakes. But I don't think it's anyone else's job to tend to the fire but my own. How? Here's the deal. If you chose the right person, there will be times that you feel like you're doing more than they're doing, but having a conversation to say, hey, I feel that I'm putting in more work on this aspect of the relationship, and I'm looking for some reciprocity. If you chose the right person, they will have an open ear. They won't be defensive about it. They won't be combative about it. They will say, okay, well, how can I help? And they will operate in their capacity where they feel that they can be most effective, and that kind of speaks towards those love languages, acts of service and words of affirmation, etc. But I think it does require that you choose the right person. So in summary, I think that love is not passive. It is not an invisible force that drives you to do things. It's a decision, just like you wake up and go to work and then you get compensated. You get married, and then you decide to remain in love, and not the fleeting butterflies that happen when you saw the beautiful woman, but you decide that you are going to love the person, protect the person, and show these daily decisions through your actions that you love the person. And I think that's what being in love is to me. Then I get rewarded by, seeing the beautiful dresses that she wears. Then she puts on the makeup, and then she walks around like a, little Disney princess, and I get to like just stand in awe. I get to do that. But I know that she would not do all that stuff if I didn't put in the work of telling her I love her, of monitoring her emotional state to make sure that she feels safe and protected, to know that when I'm angry or when she's angry, that the relationship is more important than my immediate desire to be right or my immediate desire to, get my way. I know that because we live it. We've been together 9 years, and we make those decisions every day. And they're not easy decisions, but who said marriage was easy? It's fun, but it's not easy.